nobody, but nobody does plot twists better than Matsumoto, and nobody can stab a character in the feels better than Matsumoto. Hello, my wonderful viewer, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we are taking a spoiler-free look at Kaiju number 8, chapter 110. Here we are, folks, at the culmination of so many plot threads that we didn't even see coming. It's no spoiler to say that this is the chapter where we really get into Mina and Kafka standing side by side, so the culmination of the main goal of the protagonist. We get to understand things like, why didn't Matsumoto give Mina a numbered weapon if she's so powerful? Why did he make her a glass cannon who's not only incapable of using any of the numbered weapons, but is profoundly limited in the weapons that she can use? She is a super powerful cannon with the power of a battleship, but also a lot of the mobility issues of a battleship as well. Those very limitations that Matsumoto laid on Captain Ashiro from the beginning, they flow into this chapter so perfectly. All of these struggles that Kafka has had from the get-go, from the moment that little kaiju burrowed its way down into his throat and straight into his heart, all of that comes to a head in this chapter. His issues with Captain Narumi from the first time we see them facing off with General Director Iso Shinomiya in the office. Matsumoto is just brilliant at tying things together, and it makes me really excited for all of those threads that we haven't seen tied up yet. Threads like, does Kaiju number 9 have a dedicated main body, or are these all representations of the vast neural network that exists underneath Tokyo in the fungal mycorrhiza? Because that theory that I've had for years now, IRL, for over 60 chapters in Storytime, still has no more evidence than it did before, but given the plot threads and the story threads that popped up in this chapter, threads that we have not seen addressed since chapter 55 directly, but that we've all been talking about in the fandom. We all have this question: why doesn't Kafka do this? Why hasn't anybody figured out that Kafka needs to do this thing yet? And we talk about it, and we figured that Matsumoto would get around to it eventually. Matsumoto's too good a writer just to ignore this big, obvious thing, but we just figured that, Matsumoto was taking his time, that we'd get this step-by-step process when it came time to show it to us. But instead, Matsumoto just dumps it on us all in one go with a casual reference that lets us know, oh, this is what Matsumoto was referencing back in this other chapter. This other chapter that left us with these big question marks that we didn't care were never answered because the story was moving along in other ways. Because, see, this is how a plot twist should work. A plot twist should never come utterly out of the blue. What a plot twist needs to be is that as the author is writing initially, as the creator is crafting the beginning of his story, there should be 2 or more possible courses for the story to follow. And the author should set up enough clues so that you should be able to figure out where the story is going. And for the most part, the readership did in this case. Matsumoto set up these clues about an important thing that Kafka needed to do. And Matsumoto set up the situation so clearly that Kafka needed to do this thing, and we were all wondering, why isn't Kafka doing the thing? Well, Kafka was doing the thing, just hidden behind the other things, because everybody is doing 100 things right now because they're all working so crazy for the big build-up to the big battle. And when it was revealed that Kafka has been doing the entire things behind the scenes, as it were, the clues are lined up so perfectly that we smack our foreheads and wonder, how come we didn't figure out that Kafka was doing the thing behind the scenes? This is what a plot twist should be. The path that the other pathway that the creator set up from the very beginning, that the creator was using clever things to distract you from the entire time. A good creator, a great creator, like a good magician, uses human psychology to distract the audience. The magician has you focusing on his right hand when the coin is in between the fingers of his left hand. The good author has you focusing on the fact that Kokoru is doing one thing when actually the important plot is that Kafka's doing something else behind your back. And all of this sleight of hand, all of this drawing our attention away from this thing that Kafka was doing, is also tied up in character and emotional development. And just there's this casual line in the chapter spoken by someone who doesn't know any better that is just a knife to the heart of one of our favorite characters. And you know all those comms are tied in, so you know he heard it. And so this character just gets knifed in the heart, and hopefully that character has developed enough that they can move on from this traumatic blow of this casual observation from someone who cannot possibly know how much it hurt. Which is very true to life. People say things that destroy our perception of ourselves, of who we are, of how we think the world sees us. And there's no malice in it. And as mature adults, we've just got to pick up and move on from that. And the fallout from that comment is going to just be delicious going forward. And just to wrap it all off and make this an amazing chapter, the fight scenes are beautifully animated. The anime is great. The anime put everything into making sure the fight scenes were not just beautifully animated, but creatively animated. It's not just stock combat footage. The anime seems to be inventing techniques to make the kaiju fights look astounding. So I don't think I'm going to be disappointed when this fight scene is animated, but I genuinely don't think that no matter what the animators do, the sense of movement, of motion that we get from the anime will not be better than the sense of movement and motion that we get from the manga. Matsumoto knows how to use every aspect of this medium, from the 2-page spreads to the from the way that the manga is set up, from its very dimensions and how it's going to be in 2 pages in the book. Matsumoto knows how to use that to guide your eye through the fight scene, so that when you're reading this, it's even though you're looking at 2 non-human characters just duking it out, it's still fairly easy to follow what's going on in the fight. The fight makes sense. Alright, I have gushed enough. I've got to get to writing my script for the full spoiler version, because, the spoiler version is going to be so much fun. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Did this catch you off guard, or were you expecting that thing that we've been demanding that Kafka do to actually show up in this chapter? Leave a comment below telling me what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.
Escape into another world with the writings of author Betty Adams. 2 worlds, one of utter absurdity, one of dramatic tension, both alike in aliens absolutely astounded by human behavior. Humans are weird, short, absurd science fiction stories. Flying sparks, dragons, aliens, and things that go boom in the night.
Books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play Books, and at authorBettyAdams.com for a signed copy.